Hi friends, I hope you're well. I'm here with another market analysis video. Let's jump into the chart. First, we'll review last week, looking at what happened. We expected the dollar index to rise a bit more before dropping, which it did. For the euro pound, we anticipated another low, some ranging, then an upward move, which also occurred. Bitcoin's target was $100,000 and $105,000. It hit $100,000, but only reached $104,000. The only thing that didn't meet expectations was gold. We thought it would rise higher before dropping, but it didn't. Even for Bitcoin, 100K and 105K were targets. Only gold didn't meet expectations. We expected it to hit higher before dropping, but it didn't. Gold dropped about 300-400 pips as expected. But it didn't drop as expected and return to its range. It didn't break through. There were 4 levels. We expected it to reach, and we thought it would move up a bit and hit that area we had in mind before dropping, but that didn't happen. As for gold, it did drop, and we were expecting a price drop, which occurred about 300 pips, around 300-400 pips. But the drop we had in mind didn't happen, and it went back into its range again. So that's what happened last week. Now, let's move on to the new week and see what events are coming up. I've named this new week the pivotal week for central banks because most central banks have meetings scheduled and are set to give speeches. Teller made a drop. We were expecting a price drop from Teller, and it happened about 300 pips, 300-400 pips. Upcoming events: Monday, no significant news. Tuesday, RBA speech and statement. Wednesday, last US CPI 2024. Bank of Canada speech. Thursday, SNB speech, US PPI release. When we go to the Forex Factory website on Monday, there's nothing special happening, no significant news is expected. But on Tuesday, the Reserve Bank of Australia is set to give a speech and provide a statement. Then on Wednesday, we have some very important data coming out. The last CPI for the US in 2024 is going to be released. On Wednesday, the Bank of Canada is also set to give a speech. Now, moving on to Thursday, the Swiss National Bank will have a speech. And we also have the PPI data for the US being released, along with the initial jobless claims. We will have speech from the European Central Bank, and for Friday we don't have any special data except the monthly GDP data, so the next week is very important. Let's get to the chart and see what expectations we can have from it. As usual, I'll start with the dollar index chart. Personally, I expect more decline from the DXY, but not from this area. I had set 2 areas for myself for the dollar to decline further. One of them is this area at 106.155, and the second area I have in mind is 106,409. I expect the dollar index to move upwards. I don't expect it to decline from this area. I expect it to continue moving upwards. In these areas, I'm looking for the dollar to decline further, and my first target for the dollar index is the area of 105.168. Now, let's move on to the euro. This area is 106.155, and the second area is 106.409. Expect the dollar index to move upwards. Don't expect it to decline from this area. It will continue to move upwards in these areas. Then the dollar will decline further, and the first target for the dollar index is the area of 105.168. Now on to the euro, which is at 1.068. Expect the dollar to decline, targeting the index at 105.168. Bullish on the euro for next week. Unlike the dollar, no pullback expected from the euro. Target areas for the euro. It is approximately 68. In the euro, we had a price range. I see the euro as a buy for next week. I'm bullish on the euro, but not from the euro. I target 3 euro areas. One is 1.0552 here, another is 1.05325, and the third is 1.056. I expect the euro to bounce back and move up. If the euro breaks out of this range, my first euro target is 1.07266, around here. Now, let's move on to the pound. One is 1.05512, which is right here, and another is 1.05325. The third area I have in mind is 1.056. where I expect the euro to either bounce back from this area or from this area and move upwards. And if the euro breaks out of this range, my first target for the euro is this area, which is 1.07266. I see it around here for the first target. Now, let's move on to the pound. I expect the pound, just like the euro, to decline further, and I have a few areas in mind for the pound's decline. But the area where I want to buy the pound is this area, meaning around 1.2677 to 1.2660. In these areas, I'm looking for a point around 1.2660. I expect the pound, just like the euro, to decline further, and I have a few areas in mind for the pound's decline, but the area where I want to buy the pound is around 1.2677 to 1.2660. In these areas, I'm looking for a point to buy the pound. I'm expecting it to drop to around 1.2660. In this way, if the dollar index moves up by almost 0.5%, they will enter the range and then they will hit the buy. AUDUSD expecting more drops this week. Settle between 7.6338 and 7.6343. Range here 4-hour chart entry. 4 or 8-hour chart entry. 65.2 with the Australian dollar. So, this area marked here between 7.6338 and 7.6343, I expect it to settle in this area and range here. On the 4-hour chart, it definitely needs to give me an entry. The hourly chart isn't useful for me. It has to give me an entry on either the 4-hour or 8-hour chart so that I can range here. Now let's move on to gold. We had a price range for gold and it still bounced back after the inflation data was released. Gold made a small fluctuation, but then it returned to the range again. I will take it with the Australian dollar, and the first target I have for it is only 65.2 points. Let's go hunting. We had a price range. It still came back. After the negative data was published, it was eaten. Now, a young man did a kechiki, but he returned to the range again. He is still in trouble. And it is not possible to make a special decision for him, but I still see Tella as sell, that is, I am more looking to beat Tella, but I prefer to be a bit more because we are almost reaching the end of the year. I prefer to distance myself from him and focus more. It should be the same as the Australian dollar on the euro pound and AUD. Let's move on to BTC, Bitcoin. We hit $3,000 for BTC again. Now I can clear this up. It could drop a bit more. I wouldn't really call it a significant drop, but I expect BTC to, if I want to, draw it out. I expect it to settle in these areas around 96,500 to 95,500. I expect it to reach these areas again because it's showing signs of weakness. Let me check the daily and 4-hour charts. Yeah, I expect it to drop. I expect it to reach these areas around 96,500 to 95,500 because it's showing weakness. Let me check the daily and 4-hour charts. Yeah, I expect it to drop. So once it hits that point, we can move again towards hitting the area of $105,000. There's nothing special I want to share with you. I hope you have a really great week ahead. Make sure to follow risk management, and none of the buy or sell suggestions I gave you in the analysis are guaranteed. If we reach those areas, definitely enter based on the rules you know from your chart. After you enter, make sure to enter the position correctly with proper adjustments. If you like this week's analysis, please give it a like, leave your comments for me, and definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel. I hope you have a great week. For now, take care and goodbye. If we reach those areas, definitely enter based on the rules you know from your chart. After you enter, make sure to enter the position correctly, with proper adjustments. If you like this week's analysis, please give it a like, leave your comments for me, and definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel. I hope you have a great week. For now, take care and goodbye.